Mark. For the last 6 years, I've been living in Scotland, doing my PhD and then teaching computer games technologies in University of Aberdeen, Dundee. That's what I looked like at the end of my PhD. Before that, did my bachelor's and master's in computers and psychology, respectively, in Hebrew University. And nowadays, I'm teaching a bit in Shankar, doing other things, preparing for the new leper colony in Jerusalem to be run. A tiny plug. Center for Design, Media and Technology is a Bezalel Hebrew University computer science joint venture of academic research into, well, future of design, media and technology. There will be a games research lab for kind of academic study into games from the technology, social, psychological, and other perspectives. Come say hi. Back to Scotland. What I'm going to talk about is some experiences, some insights about how education of game developers, education for game development, is being done out there, and some of these insights might be useful in building a game developer community in here, hopefully. So Dundee is just about there in middle of nowhere, hour and a half north from Edinburgh. Sunniest city in Scotland, so they say. Just not saying much. Has some touristy sites. That's the university on a good sunny day. But most interesting sites in Dundee, I suppose, is that, the Real-Time Worlds, when they were still out and running. And the sites that you mostly recognize coming from Dundee is that. Remember that? The old guys, yeah? Actually, last Valentine's Day, in Dundee, in our university, in Aberdeen, we were celebrating 20 years of the first Lemmings. That was the geekiest way to spend St. Valentine's ever, and was great fun. This is for less old-timers, but still, that's from that area in Scotland. And in general, if you look at the game development scene in that tiny city in Scotland, that's the latest list of game studios in Dundee. And even compared to other cities in Scotland, if we compare the number of game studios by population, I mean, Dundee is 142,000 people, is less than Hullon, is about the size of Ramat. It has 35 game studios, which is one game studio per 4,000 people. It's a nice metric. I like this metric. I want to make it for Tel Aviv. It's not as good yet. And it's much more by order of magnitude than Edinburgh and Glasgow. And there might be several reasons for that popularity. One, games are much more mainstream in Scotland. That's the picture I could find yesterday of the high street in Dundee. And there are 3 computer game stores on the high street. On this tiny stretch of a high street, in not a big town, there's 3 computer game stores and several stores like HMV, which you can see here, that do sell computer games. So it's much more part of popular culture that's accepted and mainstream and not freaky and outsiders. You can see billboards with computer games advertisement, which I don't think. Was there in Israel? I wasn't in Israel then when Skyrim was coming out. Was there any advertisement for Skyrim in Israel? No. It was all over the billboards in the UK. You couldn't go grocery shopping without seeing the guy in the helmet, which was kind of fun. Make you feel proud as a game developer and game teacher. There is a sport mentality. Sport is important. Here it's less important, but in Scotland golf is the mildest sport that is important. You know, we've got the rugby and the football and the stuff and everything. And also, you know, winter. Lots of dark time when there's nothing to do. And you just sit in your living room and you don't really go out and you play your computer games. And that's when Christmas shopping comes by, and, you know, that's where people buy computer games, and lots of computer games. General kind of social culture that requires some icebreakers to be social, and computer games are such as icebreaker. It's a bit different in Israel. But that's for all Scotland. Specifically for Dundee, I think one of the reasons that the games developers culture is so thriving is that place. That's much less flattering picture, but it's actually what it looks like. It's a weird university. There are two universities in Dundee, Dundee University and the University of Abertay, which was a college up until 10 years ago, College for Manufacturing, new university. It was called the New University. And when it became a university, it became a very small one. There's only 4 schools. And one of the bold moves of the management, the university management, was not to compete with the big universities, not to compete in the traditional fields with the University of Edinburgh, all 3 of them, with St Andrews, with neighboring universities that are big and established and old and do the good job of teaching, you know, medicine and physics and biology and the big stuff, and try something new and play to the strengths of being a small university where people can talk to each other, where there's it's not that there are, you know, thousands of labs and people don't know what is going on. We can actually put all the stuff of the university in that kind of room and let them talk to each other. And it was not just a good idea. That was a initiative that was, the name was White Space, as an in-between place, in which there was place, time, and money set aside for interdisciplinary projects in between the university, in between the schools in the university. There are 4 schools: social and health sciences, which is psychology, sport, and stuff, computers, engineering, and biotech, and law, and business. And there was a recognition of academics, for academics to do stuff in between these schools, to meet up with your colleague from a business school and start something together and get recognition from your faculty, recognition, time, and money to do stuff without building an interdisciplinary school. Compared to how things are done in, for example, Hebrew University, when there is a drive to do interdisciplinary stuff. And the way to do interdisciplinary stuff in Hebrew University is, let's build a new building for this particular interdisciplinary coupling. For example, brain studies, okay? Which is a bit odd if things don't work out. It's a bit high risk. Whereas in Abertay, there were literally dozens of interdisciplinary projects, whether in research or in teaching, kind of startup you like, and most of them didn't work out. There was a food innovation program which flopped. There was a forensic psychobiology program which survived for 3 years and then flopped. There were lots of different things because it was easy to start together, and there were a couple of things. There was philosophy of sport, which didn't work out very well, unfortunately. No, it was a good idea, it just didn't work out. There was oil business and management, which did work out, which was a union of biology and business studies, which did work out very well. But the best result, probably, okay, that's the picture of the logo of White Space, doesn't matter. That's the space that was set aside for interdisciplinary project, for doing stuff in between, outside the box and in between the boundaries. The whole floor converted to it, and people started doing stuff there. And probably the best outcome, the most prominent outcome, was the program for computer games design, which runs for 10 years now, and became 2 years ago the Institute of Arts, Media and Computer Games, and was nominated as the UK Centre of Excellence in Computer Games Education. And that began as that kind of work together with academics, just talking to each other and trying to think what they are interested in doing together across disciplines. And the education and the research in this Institute of Arts, Media and Computer Games, the Geek Central we call it, is built up on the same idea of doing things together, of interdisciplinary education, of collaboration, of working in the white space in between the lines. At the moment, just lifted that off the site, there are several BA programs, several master's programs. So they are computer arts and visual communication and media design, which is more the art side. There is game design, game application development, which is more mobile. Game design is more management and conceptual. Computer games technology is just hardcore programming. And there's masters and MProf, which is kind of masters for people coming back from the industry and doing a really hard 1-year crash course on how to be not just programmers, but computer game programmers. And there's also a creative sound production specifically geared towards games, which is quite different from any kind of other sound production. There are about 200-ish new students each year coming to the Institute, to all of this. And the main point is that these people all the time, from the year one, from the time they go through the gates, they work together. There are team projects from the first year, from the first semester, where people that came to study computer arts and know how to draw in, at the first year, know how to draw in Photoshop, Paint, maybe, just been shown to Maya. And people who came to study computer games technologies and know their JavaScript, I think, the first year. And sound production, they start working together and develop a game concept. In the second year, there's another group project. And so they're all the time taught separately, but also there's all the time a golden thread of people working together to develop things together. Okay? That comes at the third year. There is a big project which kind of combines of teams of 4 or 5 all across the schools. Of course, it is an interesting question of how to run such a project, and mostly how to grade such a project as a university discipline. And there are ways around it. For example, people separate the, well, there's usually half a half. Half is the group mark and half is the personal project, which is different for every school. So computer arts will do a portfolio, and computer games technology will do a code postmortem, and that together will provide the grade. But the most important result is that what it gives us is not graduates, but graduate teams. Okay? Every year, there are teams that graduate and that know each other, know how to work with each other, know who they like to work with and who they don't like to work with. About more than a quarter of the students have some team management experience by the time they reach year 3, which is not what you can say of many graduates anywhere. Israel is different because if you come to university after the army, you have some management experience of a different kind, but still very useful. Okay? If you did sergeant course, you know how to shout at people, which is, There are also, the studies is one aspect of it. There's also quite a few extracurricular activities, and the main of which the jewel is the Dare to be Digital competition of student teams in computer games design. Leo, are you here? Yeah? Hey. They almost won. They were so close to winning. They should have won. Yeah, seriously, you should have won. Just, yeah. It's a yearly international competition where teams of students come from all over the world, including Israel as of last year. Good job, you guys. To create a game in 10 weeks, and present it, and just they're being mentored, they're being given space, they're being given some accommodation of sorts. And, well, and they have more experience of game development when they finish their studies. Most of the teams are from Abertay. Then, after they do graduate, there is a support from the university to support the teams that result from either DARE or just the projects, and lead them to develop a prototype and market that, and sell that to producers and so on. There's also, I think, 3 student societies exclusively devoted to computer games. There's a Computer Games Society. There's a Computer Fighter Games Society, which is exclusively taken on Street Fighter, and they're serious. They have thumbs the size of that. And there is, I think, the RTS Society. The Student Society exclusively real-time strategies, and that's what they do. I wasn't doing that. I was doing sword fighting. And the result is, as I said, teams, or at least if people that know how to work with teams. Computer programmers who know how to talk to a designer, who know how to write a brief, how to read a brief. People in sound who understand the intricacies of programming sound for games. And that can be used in any, that's a student of mine did, in any environment that actually requires teamwork, understanding of different skill sets, and computers, and juxtaposition of computers and graphics and sound, which is mostly quite a lot of other industries. I mean, frankly, we were lying to our students. We told them we were teaching computer games, but we're actually teaching them quite hard stuff. I mean, a course in PS2 programming is actually computer architecture in disguise. It's the oldest console you can get. You can teach quite a lot about assembly and how to count your registers and all that while developing a game for PS2. Physics and game physics is a course in physics. Basic physics, nothing, yeah, but special effects in computer games is image processing and computer graphics, and quite heavy in both of them. So at the end, they were quite good programmers, my students. And they weren't always involved in computer games after that. The Toshiba Medical Visualization Division research in Edinburgh got quite a few of our graduates because they knew how to do computer graphics with special effects in 0 time, and they just could do the thing. BBC Scotland took quite a few of the graduates. Leeds do that. Glasgow Caledonian do that. I can dig up a couple more if I really think. But just, there are a couple, not many. It's a new thing. Yes.
Just about the numbers, you had like in the University of Potsdam, where I teach before, we had 1 course on computer games, and now in Berlin in the private schools we have computer game design and computer game graphics, and there are like 20 people subscribe to each course. How many people do you have in this rather small university per Bachelor of Science?
It really depends on which bachelor we're talking about. As I said, there are about 200 plus new students every year across the schools. I think sound production is the smallest. There's about 10, 15 people a year of sound production. And I think computer games technology is the largest, with about something like 50 people.
And the gender?
What you can expect. It's a geek center. No, the gender ratio is mostly boys. Not exclusively so, though. I would say about 2/3 to 3/4. Again, it depends. Computer arts and graphic design there's more girls. Management, there's more girls. Programming is more boys. Well, there are quite a few interdisciplinary research projects. We had a huge VR lab, which we did all kinds. I mean, my babies were, for example, cyber sickness in virtual reality helmets. Basically putting, the VR helmets, VR glasses, they're becoming cheaper and lighter and easier, but still, after about half an hour in them, you want to puke. And I wanted to know why and how to prevent that. Or emotion and facial expressions in games, emotion gait patterns in games. That's a project I'm now continuing actually in Bezalel. How to procedurally generate emotionally charged gait walk patterns. Last question. Oh, definitely, definitely. Okay, there's definitely is a Game Scotland community association, which is more or less what GameAce does. There are thousands of ways to which they can communicate and collaborate. Let's talk. I mean, I know people there. I'm not on it, but I can know people there, and I can connect people really easily. It's a single email, so let's talk. Okay. Do we have time for another short question, or is that all? Okay. Thank you. Thanks.